Good evening. A 7-year-old boy knocked down by a car while walking to school with his parents this morning has died. It happened at around 8 o'clock in Sherborne Crescent in the Camford Heath area of Poole. Roads in the area were closed while emergency crews dealt with the incident. Tonight, Dorset Police have appealed to anyone who saw what happened to come forward. This from our correspondent Martin Dowse.
The aftermath of an emergency on the school run in Poole this morning, a time when the streets around schools are swarming with a concentration of cars, buses, bicycles and pedestrians, a time when parents worry about the safety of their children. A 7-year-old boy was walking to his school along Sherborne Crescent, a main road through this residential area. He was with his parents. The exact circumstances of what happened are subject to a police investigation, but he was struck by a silver Peugeot 107 being driven along the road towards his school.
We've been working with local schools this morning to make sure that there's pastoral care in place for any of the children that may have witnessed this, because of course it's a busy road and there are a lot of people around this morning.
At the end of Sherborne Crescent are two schools, Magna Academy and Ad Astra Infant School, and police are appealing for any witnesses to the incident to come forward. A number of members of the public tried to help the boy before paramedics arrived on the scene. Several ambulances, along with the air ambulance, were rushed to the incident. The road remained closed for most of the rest of the day, while forensic collision investigators and specialist vehicle examiners went about their work to try and establish how it happened. Work will continue at the local schools to provide support and counselling for the many fellow pupils left in shock by what they witnessed. Martin Dowse, ITV News, Poole.
A schoolgirl obsessed by serial killers and school shootings has been found guilty of the attempted murder of her best friend. A jury at Winchester Crown Court heard that the pupil, aged 14 at the time, lured her victim to a quiet corner of their Hampshire school grounds with the promise of giving her a present. Then she stabbed her. She had previously pleaded guilty to unlawful wounding. Police have arrested a man in relation to a series of arson incidents in Gosport. One involved a police car which was responding to reports of a vehicle on fire. A man who's in his 20s and from Gosport is being questioned. A Hampshire country estate at the centre of a controversial scheme for a new town at Micheldever has been put up for sale. Zurich Assurance is asking for £45 million for the land. The news has been welcomed by opponents who believe the plans are now totally dead. Tourism bosses say Brighton Hove needs tidying up, cheaper parking, better public transport and fewer seafront roadworks to win back day trippers. It's been revealed that a drop in the number of day visitors cost the city economy £14.5 million last year. Doctors and safety experts are campaigning for a young severely disabled man to be moved from the cramped top-floor flat where he says he feels like a helpless prisoner. Robert Carver has endured his accommodation selected by Brighton and Hove City Council for 5 years. Now, after ITV Meridian highlighted his case, housing bosses promised to move him within weeks. John Ryle has the story.
5 years ago, he was a successful designer with his own business. Then he started to become clumsy, had difficulty walking, and 2 years later, a shocking development.
I lost all the feeling in my legs and I couldn't move them at all at that point, and was left a paraplegic and have degraded from there to what you see before you now.
And it's been made even tougher still by Brighton and Hove City Council, which housed him in this cramped top-floor flat when his illness started and rejected repeated pleas for somewhere with wheelchair access and room for a full-time carer.
Wherever I'm left, I have to be left. So if my carer puts me on a sofa, that's where I stay, unless he moves me. If he puts me to bed, that's where I stay. To wash and clean, he has to pull me around, throw me into a bath, which is incredibly dangerous. It's also very dangerous for him.
Robert's fight to be moved has been backed by his medical team, by CCAM, by fire service safety officers and by the carer who helps him 20 hours a week.
The things I do for Rob daily I shouldn't be doing. You know, I shouldn't be pulling him around because it's making him worse. I shouldn't be pulling him down the stairs. Rob doesn't go out anymore, only to hospital appointments, because I just do more damage to him every day.
Brighton and Hove City Council declined an interview. In a statement they say, "We're aware that Mr Carver's condition has deteriorated. We also recognise that his current accommodation is unsuitable. We've recently acquired some emergency accommodation with wheelchair adapted units, and we're hoping to move him in on an interim basis in the next couple of weeks." They add, "Unfortunately, there is an acute shortage of accommodation available suitable to his needs." John Ryle, ITV News, Hove.
New talks aimed at ending the acrimonious rail dispute at Southern broke down this morning after only a few minutes. Union officials accused Southern Rail's managers of going back on an assurance announced to the media yesterday. The company accused the union of having nothing new to say. This from our transport correspondent Mike Pearce.
Well, last night there was a glimmer of hope after the leader of the RMT, Mick Cash, and the boss of Southern, Charles Horton, agreed to meet for peace talks today. They lasted precisely 38 minutes before they broke down.
I'm bitterly disappointed and saddened. We had a genuine belief yesterday when we heard what Charles Horton had said on the media that there was an opportunity to resolve this dispute.
And that's because he was saying there would be a second member of staff on every train.
Because he was saying there's going to be a second member of staff on every train. That got kiboshed today, and it's so sad that we're in this situation where he can't keep his word.
While you're saying you'll have one of these guys on every train, there are exceptions when you won't, so it's not right what you're saying.
If in exceptional circumstances there isn't an onboard supervisor, we will let that train run. And what we'll then endeavour to do is to make sure the onboard supervisor gets onto that train as quickly as possible. And it's absolutely right, I think, to make sure that in those circumstances the customers have a train to get home or to get to work or wherever else they want to get to. And to not artificially cancel trains because the RMT want us to.
Is it about cutting jobs at the end of the day? That's what they're worried about as well.
Well, we've guaranteed a certain number of onboard supervisors, 440 onboard supervisors, right to the end of the franchise in 2021.
The arguments and the rows continue, as do another 11 days of strikes in the coming weeks. Mike Pearce, ITV News, RMT headquarters.
Finally tonight, former Southampton footballer Francis Benali is now 1,200 miles into his epic challenge. He's running and cycling to every Premier League and Championship club to raise money for cancer research. Andrew Pate has more.
This is what running and cycling over 100 miles every day is doing to Francis Benali.
I can feel my Achilles a little bit, and it looks going to be pretty swollen. So
yeah, you can really see that it's swollen.
From Manchester United's captain Wayne Rooney to former Saint Adam Lallana at Liverpool, the footballing world is supporting him. He's hoping to raise £1 million for Cancer Research UK and is currently a third of the way to that target.
I just remember getting quite emotional and almost to the point of tears, just trotting along. And it was the thought of, I really wanted to give up at that point in many ways because I was in such discomfort and pain, but I just got upset at the thought, if I did that, I would be letting people down.
Franny plans to complete the challenge by running into St Mary's this Sunday.
And we'll be there. Let's take a look at the weather now with all the details tonight. Here's Simon.
From sleet to the slopes, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening. Well, you'll be pleased to know a much welcome change in the weather will arrive as we near the end of the week. But between now and then, well, I'm afraid it's more of the same. So for tomorrow, a few scattered showers around, some decent sunny spells, but also feeling quite cool in the breeze. The breeze that is staying with us overnight tonight. Certainly a few showers at first, but it's through the early hours that we see the next lot start to blow in on that wind, particularly down towards the Isle of Wight and along the coast. Inland as well. North of the region is where you might might see a bit of patchy mist developing. Coolest night here, 7 or 8 degrees, but that breeze certainly still with us tomorrow, and a few perky showers first thing. But then we'll see things turn a little drier as the rest of the day goes on. Some more sunny spells developing as the day goes on as well. But if you're in that wind, it's certainly not going to feel very warm. Temperatures tomorrow, a little bit disappointing, 11 or 12 degrees, and that wind will fairly strong along the coast. We're looking at 20-25 miles an hour. Will feel a bit raw if you are anywhere near the sea. Then the change comes courtesy of the low pressure Friday into Saturday, but with it come some bands of showers or heavy rain.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
And that's it for now. Just a reminder that Amanda Piper will be back during Good Morning Britain